All right, what I want to talk to you about now is a technique called toning or tone coating. And basically, it's where you take your dye or your stain and you mix it into your finish. And it makes pretty much an opaque coating that goes over it. You know, a lot of guys use it to help even out color, add a little bit of depth to something, meaning they, you know, if it's something not quite brown enough or whatever, they add a little brown. It's a way of kind of manipulating color a little bit or getting it even. Now, kind of the general rule of thumb is, my general rule of thumb is, and you need to check with the manufacturer of whoever product you're using to make sure the ratio of how much you can add. My general rule of thumb is, if I'm using a stain, I never go much past a 50-50 mix, meaning I've got half stain, half finish. I don't even like to go that far. 30-40% is about as high as I like to go, including a dye. And because I don't want to mess with the finish not being able to adhere. I also want to emphasize this is not a finish coat. Because you're reducing the finish with the stain or dye, what you've got is a lesser, you just don't have the body there. You don't have the full protection. So it needs to be clear coated over with whatever finish you're using. You also have to be careful with compatibility. Obviously, you can't take an oil-based stain and mix it with a water-based finish, or vice versa. They have to be compatible. And you know, you can also take, you know, dyes like trans tint. Trans tint pretty much mixes in with anything. You can take the mix-all pigment tints and mix in with them. So you can manipulate the color any way. You can, you can use, if you're using water-based, you can use a universal, water-based universal tinting colors. But what it is simply, again, this is a piece we were doing whatever blotch control or something on anyway, and you can see I've got this top's kind of dark, and then I just left one line here kind of light. One of the things you have to be careful, you see I'm going kind of easy, is you have to be careful with the tone coating. Now, tone coatings are a lot less apt to blotch because they dry fast. The finish is dry. But one of the things with the tone coating you have to be careful is getting that coat even. And you've seen us do this before, where we do what we call a crosshatch. We go one direction, then we go the other direction. And you notice I'm putting it on light and easy. Now I'm coming up to what would be a full wet coat of finish. I need to let that dry. But you can see you've got a little bit of a mottled look. Okay, that's again where you got to take, what you're going to find is if you up that pressure just a little bit and kind of back off of it and just kind of mist it on, you can get a little bit more even color. Tone coating is typically used over a base color. It's just used to, again, to even the color out. Now that said, tone coating, for lack of a better term, is kind of like painting, because you're laying that color on. And as you lay it on, the finish is, the color's laying on the wood. So you can muddy your finish if you put a lot. Meaning you can kind of kill the grain in it. But you can use it. It's a good technique if you need to take a color. Let's assume that this had a coat of finish on it and it's just a little light. You want to get just a little bit more color to it. You could take and tone coat it, darken it up a little bit. I'm looking at this, see if it's wet enough I can put any more on. It's pretty wet. I don't want to run it here on the camera, but again, just that light coat to keep it even. And You can come up with some pretty neat colors with it, but just don't do a lot. Now in this case, I'm still seeing my green pretty good, but I've got a water-based stain and a water-based finish, and both of those have a tendency to be a little clearer than a lot of them. If you can take an oil-based stain, for example, and add it to a lacquer, in that case, you don't want to go much past 20-25%. But I still much prefer just using some trans tint or something like that, because what's happening, the oil and the lacquer, is while they'll intermix, it slows the dry of the lacquer down. And again, you want to make sure that you get a couple good top coats on it to protect it, because it's just not going to be as durable as a straight up finish. That's tone coating, simply put.